Hello, welcome. It is me, Danyell Carmelita, your favorite tarot reader and astrologer. And we are talking about ice. We're talking about what happens when Mars is in Leo and it clashes with Uranus in Taurus. Boom. Okay. If I can have a sound effect, that represents rebellion hits the streets. Okay. Ice riots erupt in Los Angeles over the weekend. But this isn't chaos that is random. Okay. This was written in the stars. Today, I will be breaking down the astrology behind this uprising, behind the current energy currently, and from some fire fueled transits to some karmic reckonings. We shall see. If you want to understand the karmic forces, if you want to know the predictions on this, and that's driving these current headlines, then stay tuned because you're at the right place.
3, 2, 1.
I love you.
Well, welcome if you are new here. Welcome if you are old. Normally, I do the weekly transits or I talk about the current vibe in the sky, which I am talking about. But today we are focused on ICE in Los Angeles and the riots. I currently live in LA. And if you've been following me for a while or if you've been watching my recent videos, you would know that this was something that I discussed in a prediction of June transits of 2025. I called this, okay, in that video. And this isn't just riots, this is a part of a cosmic pattern, okay? Something that the stars are telling us. And if we just listen, then we will see that this will happen. This is part of a bigger cosmic pattern, okay? So if you're not tapped into my forecast yet, if you're not watching my previous videos, then you are in a new. And if you have, then you already know this, okay? Also, I talked about this in my prediction playlist video, and you can still watch this because it's still predicting some things. And it's in my 2025 playlist for what's happening for us in this year. And we're almost halfway through. So there is still a lot of tea that you get to be a part of. Okay. Also, too, if you really love this, don't forget to subscribe. Okay. I will be putting a weekly transits in my newsletter. I give that for free. I break down the weekly transits for the current vibe in the sky for the week. So you get that information. You get to know why are you arguing with your Betsy. Okay. That is on my newsletter. So go ahead and check that out. That is free. Okay. And you get it once a week. Also, I add some extra bonus tips for the current transits in that as well. And then also, too, if you join my community, you guys, I give the dirty tea. I just talked about Elon and Trump's argument, and we go a little bit deep in there. And I am like this, okay? No makeup, no jazz, no pizzazz. I just put that out there so you guys can understand. It's very laid back and easier conversation, okay? Especially if you love astrology and tarot. I have a lot of other bonus information and ebooks and posts and audio clips, a lot of things in that group, okay? So you guys can join that. That is cheaper than a cup of coffee. So let's talk about what we have currently with this headline. Actually, let me see what we have here. I have some extra pictures here. We are talking about ice here, okay? And if you don't know, let me see if I can pull up a headline. Ice with the headlines, if you are under a rock. I was about to type in headlines. Ice riots in LA. Let's see what the news articles have to say about this. What's happening during these 3 days of protests and immigration. Actually, let me add this. Let me see. Can I share this tidbit? Let me see. Here we go. Bam. So let's put this up and see what we have here. Oh, no, we don't like me. Do we like that? No. There. That's a little bit better. It's annoying me though, but anyway, so we have a timeline here. A man at Paramount immigration protest is added to FBI's most wanted list. A video, that was June 8th, a video law enforcement faces off with protesters. This is June 8th. LA police declared all of downtown Los Angeles an unlawful assembly. I wonder if they have what Trump tweeted. As of 4:30 a.m. Monday, June 9th. This is no longer updated. Okay, real time. Okay, whatever. Let's see, what do they have here? Feds vowed to continue immigration enforcement every day in LA. Here are your rights. Ooh, who's writing this? LA Times. Okay. Okay, so we're on one side of the spectrum here. We're not on the other side. The Bloods and the Crips are always fighting. Anyway, man at Paramount immigration protest is added to FBI's most wanted list. Video of enforcement. Here we go. Let's see what this video is. I don't know if you can hear. Okay. Shut the whole screen. Okay. That's all right. It's just that you've seen one, you've seen them all. Let me pause this because I can hear it. Oh, I don't give a bam. Newsom responds after Trump's border Cesar threatens to arrest him. 27 arrested Sunday at protests in downtown Los Angeles. This is June 8th. Train service shut down, bus lines rerouted in downtown LA amid protests. Oh, we get someone wrapped up. You know, who doesn't have TikTok nowadays? If you don't have TikTok, you don't see all of what's going on, even behind the scenes of what the news is telling us. Multiple Waymos set on fire amid protests. So we got that. Oh, what is Karen Bass? Karen Bass urges peaceful protest, pushes back on Trump's claim that raids target criminals. I have a chart reading on my group chat. If you guys, I see my Wi-Fi is doing bad, but if you guys join my group, I did a chart reading on her, broke her down. And even Gavin Newsom. Newsom arrives in Los Angeles to oversee immigration protest response. That was June 8th. A lot of stuff happening June 8th. Here we have the 101 freeway closed down downtown LA as protesters block the traffic. Gavin Newsom asks federal government to remove National Guard. This is all June 8th, okay? Police protests locked in standoff in downtown LA. Notice they're saying a lot of downtown LA. I live in LA. I am currently in LA. I don't see any of what's going on here. Trump defends sending National Guard to LA cause protests a riot. Let me see. Federal authorities deploy less lethal weapons. Here we go here. Very interesting stuff. You guys, I was out of town actually this weekend and I called my husband like, "What is going on in LA?" And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "You didn't tell me anything." He's like, "I don't notice anything." I mean, he's in LA. My son's in LA. They didn't tell me. My daughter, no one told me any of this stuff because it's bigger in the news than actually of all of LA. Okay, so I'm not saying that it's not big downtown and not big in certain parts of Compton, but it's not all of LA. It's not like the LA fires. It's not like the LA riots. This is, this is not as big, but we'll talk about that. Okay, so there we have. You have what the headlines are saying. I was trying to see where Trump said he was getting National Guard, but let me get to my notes here. And what we have for my notes. Oh, whoop. Okay, so what we have for my notes is first of all, I want to say that I predicted this. Okay, June in my June video, Mars and Leo, it's squaring. You guys, the natural beauty is distracting me because I have a face mask on, you guys, and I just got back from out of town. Okay, I am showered, I am freshly clean. I also witnessed a car accident. So there is that, okay? But whatever, I wanted to give this, put this up here. So in my June video, I discussed that Mars in Leo is going to square Uranus in Taurus, okay? And I explained that this is fast, this is bold, this is surprising, especially when it comes to any type of form of stability. There's rebellions, there's sudden disruptions, there's a issue of ego here, a shock, risk-taking, breakthrough, or breakdown. I said it comes like a lightning bolt. It will be hitting in stages. It will be big. I said it will be discussing our comfort, our values, our control, square. And because the squaring is something that is changing and we don't want the change. Okay. Either or, okay? If you agree or don't agree, it's involving a change that doesn't want to happen. I even said as a collective that there will be some explosive events happening, maybe an instant protest. I said this in the video, okay? Our leadership shakeups, okay? Just so you know. So I'll break this down a little bit more. Actually, let me add my chart here. And let's see what the chart is saying. Oh, I have an inauguration. Let me put current transits here and we'll scooch it back to the 8th because it looks like the 8th is where all the tea happens. Okay. First of all, I want you to understand that Mars is in Leo. here, and Mars is squaring Uranus. Okay, it's not at an exact degree, but it's creeping up, and we're already feeling the energy. Okay, it's a power transit. Okay, this is where I see the ice riots happening. Uranus represents riots, it represents rebellion, it represents fighting for a cause, and that's what that planet would cause. So whenever there are rebellions or anything, you go to Uranus. You also go to Aquarius. We got Pluto in Aquarius. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Mars is where you have the aggression. Okay, so Mars is in Leo, and whenever Mars is in Leo, every time there is drama. Okay, I should have went back to my video and looked at see what my note said for Mars and Leo, but I already know that I said drama, over the top. Okay, very dramatic. It can't just be like, oh, okay, we're gonna get some police. No, we're gonna send a National Guard. We're gonna be dramatic. Okay, because I'm telling you, I'm in LA. And the National Guard is not needed. Okay, whether you are a Republican, a Crip, or a Blood, or a Democrat, it's just not as big. People are calling us who do not live in LA asking if we're okay. I'm telling you right now that Jupiter was making this really big in that Mars and Leo. Anyway, okay. So Mars and Leo is about action. Mars alone. It's about action, it's about aggression, it's about enforcement, it's about heat. Okay. Whenever Mars is in Leo and there's rebellions, you get the firecrackers, you get the fire, everybody's setting stuff on fire. Okay. Now Uranus, the planets of you. Okay. And Leo is very dramatic, it's very bold. Look at me energy. Everyone look at me. Power plays, ego-driven actions, and public spectacle. Okay, so you got the people on the where they at? We got everyone on literally on stage. Okay, on stage. Okay, you have them. This you see people in their cars, in their motorcycles, and a lot of pictures and selfies were taken too. I've been watching the videos. Okay, so you have all that. Now Uranus is the planet that's about shock and rebellion and revolt. In a sign Taurus, that is related to our land, the physical land, a physical source of some sort, safety, territory. Who belongs here? Who rules this? This is about our value, our survival, our physical stability. It could even be representing your home if that's what you value, or your security and your job. Okay. These are things that you value, and that's what Taurus represents. And Uranus is here to represent the underdog, the grassroots, the resistance, the economy, sudden disruptions with our safety, sudden disruptions with the working class, sudden disruptions. Are we rebelling? Are we striking over immigrants? Because some people value that and some people value their jobs. Okay. Now, square is a tension, it's a conflict, it is a change. Okay. So now when you have this with two planets that don't want to change, that means there is a change, and that's why there is a challenge. So Leo doesn't want to change, is a fixated sign, and so is Taurus. So they don't want to change. So when you have these two coming together, I said in my past video that you're going to have a rebellion. Okay, Mars is that planet of conflict, and it's over the top. It also represents leaders. So Trump has he's a Leo rising, and he has Mars in the first house, Pluto in the first house. That makes him even more egotistical. Okay, mind you, I have a Mars and Jupiter and Gemini, so I find him quite entertaining. I love it when he speaks. I'm sorry. Regardless, I mean, he could be saying things about my mom, and I'm still laughing at Trump. Okay, I find him very comical. I find that his bravery is strong. I find that if he was standing on the side of all my political beliefs, that I would want someone who is bold to say the statements that he's saying to be said. At the same time, me personally, I don't believe that these presidents are running the country. So there is that. Okay, so back to what I'm saying. This can manifest this square here that I was talking about here. This can manifest in some raids. Okay, this also is about protests. This is about conflicts about your safety, what you value, and you have that. Okay, so again, the flash raids to protest, the even like the funding of it, we talked about a little bit about Doge and how, okay, but that's another video. I want to stay focused. Okay, also too, I want you to understand that we had this happening yesterday, right? And this is where Jupiter is conjunct Mercury at 29 degrees. Now, I thought this would be bigger. Okay, it is big, but this one took over. Okay, this one took over, and this happened that day. Now, for me personally, this is on top of my Venus. My daughter got a championship with her soccer team, and what was so funny to me is that one of the team moms said, "You guys, they want us to cheer the whole game." I was like, "Oh my gosh, talk about Venus conjunct Mercury and Gemini," and all we heard was cheering on every field, because when you're at a soccer tournament, there's like 100 fields happening. Anyway, so everyone was louder than ever that day. However, That's how it was for me personally. And I'm not even in Los Angeles, but here in for the collective, this was representing this huge communication of it, because Mercury represents communication, it represents the press, it represents the news. Jupiter is about expansion, making everything big. Everything it touches, it makes it big. So it also represents politics, your belief systems, your philosophy. It represents justice because it does represent the law. Gemini is Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, so it's representing the media duality. Okay, also represents that mobility, represents cars and transports. So we'll get into that Waymo a little bit. Could represents immigration issues too, because you have this two-sided situation going on. But because that you had some big news, and I said watch out for the news that day. There's going to be a huge news, and of course that happens June 8th. This protest happened before, but June 8th is when all the stories came out, and it made it really big, and now the story is bigger than ever. People are not even in LA and are calling and be like, what is going on in LA? Because it's an overload of media coverage. Okay, and that is what you have here. 29 degrees, hurry up, you got to hurry up and get this information out. So you had that. Now some other things I saw, spark outrage, let me see, leak. Okay, other things that I saw with this, Pluto retrograding in Aquarius. Okay, Pluto retrograding in Aquarius has Trump saying that everyone cannot wear masks while they're protesting. Okay, I've discussed Pluto not retrograding, but Pluto in Aquarius, and when it retrogrades, that means it's even some more tease, some more dirt, shadiness all happening here, even some leaks of what's going on with Pluto in Aquarius. But Pluto is obsessed with power. Aquarius represents rebellion. Okay, so not only you're not allowed to rebel, you're not allowed to keep yourself a secret if you're protesting. You know what? We're not even going to allow you to wear masks while you're rebelling. So people who are protesting, we're going to make some strong rules while you're protesting. You know, this is where they have the people who are protesting for Hamas. You're not allowed to protest for Hamas because Pluto's in Aquarius and we are obsessed with controlling anyone who's going on strike. Okay, so you have that going on now. Mars in Leo. Again, I talked about how Mars and Leo has Trump being a dramatic because he does have Leo in that first house. So you're talking about he feels like this is personally affecting his ego. Okay. Also to that, anytime you have Mars in a fire sign, you're going to deal with fire. You're going to deal with firecrackers. You're going to deal with just a lot of fire. Okay. Now also guns too represents Mars, but the Leo energy is conflict, huge conflict. And you see the political parties having conflict, even though they always have conflict. But now there is a conflict of the audacity for you to send the National Guard in at this time. Let me see. I had the dates here, which I should have looked up astrologically. I have here Trump has federalized the National Guard for the first time since 1992. I'm pretty sure that was the riots, and then the LA riots. And then the first time that it went over the governor's state power since 1965. Now, the National Guards hasn't come, but you know, with Mars and Leo, we can see that this is a possibility because it's going to bring the drama with all that stuff too. Okay, Jupiter is conjunct Mercury. I talked about that. Oh, the Waymos too. Is this Jupiter conjunct Mercury as well, because you know the Waymos in LA, there's a lot of Waymos. First of all, if you're not in the city, you probably don't see that, because I noticed where I was at, there wasn't any Waymos, and now I'm so LA that there's Waymos everywhere. But there is the setting of fire of the Waymos and having them lined up is very much Gemini energy, okay? Because it's like you're setting fires to the local transits of the cars, okay? I have not been in a Waymo. I may not ever be in a Waymo, okay? Me personally, you do as you please. Now, Saturn is conjunct Neptune. I also, you know, the collective energy in the sky is going to explain everything that's currently going on, okay? And when you have Saturn conjunct Neptune, this is where I feel like this is even stronger than, even though we have this energy happening, why we have this rebellion, I just want you to understand it's because you have that Mars squaring Uranus, and then all of the news making it bigger than ever. You have this, of course, this is bigger because it's dramatic with Leo, but also in the sky, we have this conjunction. And I want you to understand that this is a strong energy and it's going to last for a good minute, right? Because then they retrograde and they come back. Okay. So what I'm saying is Saturn represents control. It represents authority. It represents the government. It represents structure. It represents law. It represents uniforms. Okay. It's the enforcer, right? Now, Mars is going to enforce it. It's going to physically enforce you. And that's how you're having it with that Mars and Leo, the aggression of it, the overdramatic energy of it. But the Saturn is the one that's sitting back, making all the rules and saying, you know what, this is what we want. I'm the father and I'm going to tell you what to do. So now, Mars, after I tell you what to do, Mars, go over there and do it. And Mars is being dramatic doing it, if that makes sense. Now, Saturn, the planet, the father of control, structure, and authority and law, is sitting close to Neptune. And Neptune is the planet of illusions. It represents sacrifices too, also too disinformation and conspiracy theories. Okay, now you have these two sitting close together. That means that Saturn is being a little delulu. It's being secretive. It's over there hiding, and it's saying one thing, but it's secretly doing another. Okay, now it's in the sign Aries. Aries is about your identity, it's about yourself, it's about action, it's about war, it's about personal will. Aries is like, who do I belong? Where do I belong? You know, where's my territory? Where's my selfhood? Aries represents I am, me personally, right? Okay, so now you have I belong here. I belong here. This is who I am. This is my space. This is how I act. This is how I feel within freely. Okay. No one's going to tell me where I belong. That Aries energy. And now this Aries energy of where you belong, where I belong, has some structure, has some limitations, has some boundaries, because that's what Saturn represents. Okay. And now you're also too questioning where you belong. Okay, that Neptune is going to put a fog and put a illusion and deception on top of where you belong. Okay, blurred boundaries between justice and propaganda, disillusionment with leaders, identities, and causes, state power enforcing a vision, sometimes a dystopian, utopian vision. We're going to get rid of all of the illegal immigrants and a world will be a better place. Will it? Okay, it's giving that an illusion. The government, while it's sitting there next to Neptune, anything that the government is pulling out currently, I would question and I would keep that eyes wide open. As the Black people say, stay woke, okay, with that energy, okay? Authoritative enforcement, mass as protection. Saturn wants to build the walls and enforce borders. Neptune masks the intent. Often it could be emotional. Often it could be conspiracy theories. Often it could be something that is really the fog and of illusion. We're going to make it seem like it's this way and it's not that way. Okay. Weaponizing of sacrifice and suffering. Okay. Neptune can glorify the person who is sacrificing themselves. They can glorify the victim. When conjunct Saturn, this could be as cruel. Okay, very cold. Saturn is very cold. The stories will tell about the legal immigrant protesters or the protesters who are supporting legal immigrants. Okay, and I'm not saying I'm for or with, I'm just telling you what the planets represent. Our ICE agents can become heroes or villains at the same time. Okay, so it also, too, is very interesting. And I'll talk about this with the duality of things with Gemini over here, because Gemini, it was interesting watching these videos and you see that, you know, these are illegal immigrants and they're speaking Spanish, and then the ICE people are Spanish speakers. And you even have one ICE person on TikTok that I saw was like, hey, brother, back up. You know, and it's literally could be like, you know, that is a term of like, we're from the same race, we're from the same world, same culture. It was just very interesting, that duality of perspective there. Anyway, collective delusions are security or freedom. Okay, Neptune dissolves, Saturn builds, and together there is building an illusion and enforcing things like a law. And it's causing some confusion. It's causing some blurred lines, because you are talking about something that America has been built on with, you know, I would say immigration. America is built on immigration, and sure, it's not built on maybe illegal immigration, but from when I was raised, it was. So you do have that. At the same time, we're getting to politics a little bit more, but Biden did bring a lot of illegal immigration. He opened that door wide open. So, but this is extreme. And that Leo energy will make it extreme. Anyway, so suppressed rage, identity politics is what you get with Aries. Aries rules the individual in the fight for personal freedom. And then you got the riots, you got the violent outbursts. All that is very Aries. And people are fighting for a right to exist or to be seen or to belong. So you have all that. And that's what you have with these transits. Now, let me get some predictions here. First of all, let me see where I put my predictions. I want to let you know that Jupiter is going to be in a sign Cancer. Okay, When Jupiter moves into Cancer, and you see it's at the edge here, Jupiter, and then bam, it's in Cancer. As what happens on the 9th, I think. Today is the 9th. It will happen today. Jupiter will be entering Cancer. I've done so many videos on Jupiter entering Cancer, and it'll stay in there until the middle of 2026. And when you have Jupiter in Cancer, when you're involving, if you want to know about the future of ICE and immigration, illegal immigration, and our homeland, America, first of all, America, the sign of America is Cancer. So Jupiter touching that, it's going to make everything bigger. You do have that. But Cancer represents home. It represents your roots. It represents emotional security. It represents family. It represents children. It represents belonging. It represents patriotism. Okay, nationalism. Okay, so if you are from Mexico, then you're the pride for being Mexican. If you're from America, the pride of American. Domestic protection. So whatever Jupiter touches is going to expand, okay? And in the sign Cancer, it's going to make these things very expensive, okay? I talked about home being an issue for a lot of people when Jupiter hits Cancer. I talked about that. This is going to be even bigger, okay? Jupiter expands this. It expands your security. Cancer represents your security. Cancer represents feeling insecure, feeling like you don't have a safety, feeling issues from the past. A lot of current things from the past will be coming up currently. A lot of sensitivity too, okay? People are going to be more sensitive than ever, but expansion of domestic enforcement and family-oriented narratives, emotional manipulation when it comes to immigration policies, public messaging, sentimental things, again, because it's very sensitive, legal and human right battles over children and families, bigger. Listen to me, okay? This is not going to slow up. This is only get bigger. You don't need to know astrology, but this is going to last all the way until 2026, okay? Whistleblowing leaks around detentions, around shelters, around homes, around custody. If you live in LA, who is your mayor? They're going to be affecting your home life, okay? For sure. Whether it's you buying a home, purchasing a home, renting a home, apartments, or whatever, it's going to be bigger, okay? Potential for sanctuary movement growth. Jupiter also brings faith. It brings hope. It brings expansion of your belief system. So the churches and cities and communities, they may step up and be more of a sanctuary for you, okay? Cancer clings to the past. So a lot of discussions of how do we do things in the past? Why aren't we doing the things for the past? Okay. ICE may expand some funding because you're talking about this energy of Cancer and patriotism being bigger. So you have that. And I think that Trump took enough money from Doge to put it everywhere. Okay. So may see fear-based politic ads because the invasion of your America home life could be bigger. Okay. Now also too, I want to say that I pulled a card for this. First of all, I pulled for ICE, I pulled the Lover's card. Okay. The Lover's card represents choice. It represents the mirror, represents a divide. It's the power of love, and it's how do we deal with it. Okay. It's also about unions. Okay. Lovers also represents Gemini. Okay. And we discussed that Jupiter and Mercury and Gemini. So we talked about that and the news of it and being discussed. Okay. But the duality, remember I talked about the duality, the different perspectives of seeing the ICE perspective, the person being the ICE and being the one guarding and taking people from their family. Jupiter in Cancer, bigger, that will be bigger than ever. But also two decisions. The Lover isn't just about romance, it's about choices between right and wrong, union versus separation, and the values being tested in action, and the loved ones being separated from other loved ones. Okay. And also just the two teams almost too, right? Mirror of the nation, the card reflects on how America sees itself. It also is a contradiction between the nation's ideas and actions, because I mean, America is found on a melting pot. At the same time, from my childhood, I think my perspective of America was that we were always an open door kind of energy, but then there needed to be some limitations at the same time. So, but I do understand, when you open the floodgates and, things happen. Okay. Now we also have the 9 of Swords here as a card that I pulled for this whole situation. And this is about guilt, sleeplessness, and mental torture. This card is about regret. It's about anxiety. It's about psychological torment. And I'm sure the people who are ICE people are having this issue. And at the same time, you have the people who are being taken away from their family and all the protesters. And to see this, it's just so sad to see people fighting for for them to be here and not to be taken away. It suggests grief discard, also fear, shame behind closed doors. So you could have the people who are working for ICE feeling ashamed. Okay, collective unconsciousness, wrestling with guilt, indicates that some truths can't be buried. There are nightmares coming to the light. There's exposure, there's leaks, there's whistleblowers. Yeah, also too, this could represent mental health, right? A lot of people having some mental health issues happening around this whole thing. That wasn't like a prediction, that's just like the current energy of what's going on in regards to ICE. You know, moral reckoning is brewing, and ICE is being asked to confront the what it values. You know, the Lovers card, it values this relationship. You know, if you're talking about people who do the jobs that other people don't want to do, or you're talking about people who hire people under the table, or if you have family members, or you have a good friend who is a legal immigrant, because, you know, sirens, but that doesn't mean I hear sirens, but you can't hear it. Doesn't mean that it has anything to do with what's going on. But yeah, but it's just really sad to see. I even saw like a guy who was famous on TikTok in Vegas taken away. I saw people in Florida at a construction site. They had them lined up, being taken away. Yeah, it's very sad to see. But you know, I am a woman. I have Neptune in the first house. Compassion just takes over me. Okay. Other things that I saw, far as let me see if I have any other things. Far as predictions astrologically, I saw, okay, Jupiter is retrograding in Cancer. Oh, wait, what is this? Oh, okay. Here, let me bring up the chart here. Let's just bring this back up. And I want to further explain this when we are talking about the presidency, okay? Because Trump is going to be president for 4 years. You know, some say maybe even longer. We'll look at that one day, but not right now. And what I have here is that Jupiter is, this is his inauguration chart, okay? And I say this almost every time I pull this up. This is the birth chart of Trump being president this go around, okay? So this is him being president for the next 4 years, okay? So he was sworn in January 20th, and it was at 12:46 p.m., all right? So this is his chart. And because this is a chart of presidency, I look and see more like, what do we have to look forward to in the next 4 years as far as this ICE issue, okay? And some say it's an issue. I say it's an issue. Good for people who agree with ICE and don't agree with ICE, because you have the riots, you have the domino effect, and you have the aggression and news and a division. Okay, all right. So Jupiter is retrograding in Gemini in the second house here. You have that. You also have Uranus in Taurus, because remember I told you Uranus is the planet that we look at when you're talking about rebellion, okay? That is in the first house, okay? Also too, you have this Pluto Sun conjunction. I talk about this all the time, and it's in the sign Aquarius. So there is obsession and transformation when it comes to rebelling and striking and all that stuff, okay? Saturn is conjunct Venus, okay? Saturn conjunct Venus over here. They're just 1 degree apart. I also looked at that, and that's in 11th house, and it's in the sign Pisces. Okay, first of all, Jupiter retrograding in Gemini. When it comes to ICE, you're talking about resources, you're talking about values, you're talking about the national, you know, the nation's wealth. And it's retrograding. So it's going to be a lot of redoing and repeating and going back and forth. Also, maybe some exposing some audits here when it comes to ICE, when it comes to the resources of funding ICE. All that I think is going to play back and forth, because you're talking about the funds that's funding it. Also, Gemini's duality, hence a double agenda, or maybe even the propaganda is tied to ICE, also could be a big thing here. Okay. Now, Uranus is retrograding in the sign Taurus, and it's in the first house of this presidency. So that means that a lot of rebellions are going to be part of his presidency. It is going to be so big part of his presidency that it's going to be part of his identity as being a president. What number is he? 54? I don't know what number. Okay. But it's part of that whole presidency of President Trump. Okay. So Trump's identity as president in that first house is directly tied to rebellion, disruptions, radical shift. And you're talking about radical shift in immigration enforcement. Okay. Uranus retrograde also talks about a slow burn, or maybe even an uprising, or it going back and forth. Okay. Like, you know, I said what I said, and we're going to repeat it. Or, you know what, we're going to redo it. We said we were going to take people who are just doing something illegal, but we changed our mind. We're just going to take everyone, okay? But also maybe even repeating it and redoing it and reversing it, or taking things back, okay? Might also point to tech base surveillance enforcement as well. Uranus does represent that technology. Okay. And Taurus represents the body, the earth, what you value. And we are going to do some surveillance over tracking your body or tracking what you value or tracking your money or tracking that coin and tracking your bank. That's a whole nother thing. Anyway, but Pluto conjunct the sun in Aquarius. Again, Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, so it's kind of the same thing, okay? The sun amplifies it. The sun puts a shining light on it. Pluto also amplifies it. Pluto adds obsession with power and really taking power and control over the institutions and being obsessed with surveillance. I have a strong opinion that I feel like ICE is such a big to do now, not only because, the propaganda, the illusion, because remember that Neptune is sitting there, the illusion of making it seem like, oh, we want to make America a better place, which, sounded great, sounds good. I'm not against that theory. That sounds great. At the same time, is it true? Is this really what you're trying to do? If you're pulling someone who is working, whether you agree or not, okay? If I'm minding my goddamn business and I'm working, I am illegal. So that is illegal. So you do have that. So I am committing a crime because I am here illegally. At the same time, I am supporting the America economy, right? Not paying taxes. So there is that. I can see both sides of the parties here. At the same time, okay, so they pull them away. And now that Pluto in Aquarius and that Pluto sitting next to the sun makes me think that, people who are illegal, even though they're minding their business, they could be just working, or it could just be mowing lawns. They could be, in love with someone. I don't know. I'm just throwing these things out there. Okay. So let's just say they're minding their business. They're not doing anything illegal, but crossing the border, which is illegal. Okay. So some people can't get past that, but I'm just saying, let's get past that part. Let's say that's not it, because as a child, this is all I experienced were illegal immigrants, and it was okay for them to be illegal. Okay. So, but let's just say it's back in the days, in the 90s. Okay. So let's say it's in the 90s and you have that, and they're not being shady. They're being productive. They're doing all that. Now that Pluto in Aquarius, okay, that Pluto in Aquarius and that sun highlighting that is saying, I'm obsessed with power though. Okay. I'm so obsessed that I don't even like that you are not documented. Okay. Because Pluto in Aquarius wants the most of surveillance. It's almost like if I win the lottery and now, let's say I'm a millionaire and I got $300 million in the bank, but, I'm obsessed with part of Pluto is involved with this lottery winning. That means I want even more. I'm greedy. I want more and more and more. Okay. So that sun conjunct that Pluto makes it obsessed. Okay. So you are an illegal immigrant. You are not documented. So that means we don't have taxes on you. We can't look at your health records. Maybe you can. I don't know. I don't know how that works with illegal immigrants, but maybe you can. But we definitely can't look at your Social Security. We can't look at your taxes. We can't look at those things. And from what I'm understanding, and I did a video on Palantir, that's the name of the company, but the surveillance company that Trump has put Doge money out of and put it into a lot of money into this company, and it's over surveillance. I would think that this plays a big part of it. Okay. But Pluto conjunct the sun and Trump's 10th house, not Trump's 10th house, but the inauguration's 10th house, then you're talking about authority over power structures and mass surveillance. You're talking about radical reinventions of the government systems. And identity is tied to control in the collective systems. And it wants to control the people, okay? Wants to control people who are rebelling, wants to control people and their surveillance and their technology and the future, okay? ICE was visibly elevated during Trump's presidency, and you have the public image, you have power through restriction. That's what you have. This is part of his reputation. This is part of his legacy, and obsession and purging and control and dominating anything that's dealing with Aquarius energy. Okay. So dominating over all technology, dominating over all collectives and groups, dominating over any type of immigration and the flow of that, and public surveillance of intellectual energy too, and communication. That is what that Pluto and Sun conjunct in the 10th house represents for these 4 years in presidency. He wants to have he's obsessed with controlling, and it's not just him, anyone in this four-year presidency group, technology, systems, intellect, and people of power. Okay. Data, the algorithm, What else? Aquarius represents the future. Okay, all of that is what he wants to have full control over. Okay, let me see what else we have. But the sun's there, so he can't do it secretly. So we will see all of it. Okay, let me see what else I have here for predictions. Also to Venus conjunct Saturn conjunct Venus. Okay, and that's sitting here over in that 11th house in the house of politics, and ice policies will be tied into this Pisces energy. When I think of ice, because ice represents literally like an ice cube, right? And ice to me represents Saturn. Saturn is the planet that's very cold, and it's very stern, and it's very restrictive. It could represent like being in captivity, but it represents cold. And it's the ruler of Capricorn. Capricorn season happens in the dead of winter, right? So, and this is called ice. And I find that there's a correlation here. So, Saturn, I always look at Saturn when we're dealing with ice, and Saturn is sitting in the sign Pisces, and it's conjunct Neptune here in that 11th house. And to me, this represents Saturn, to me represents ice itself, right? Because it's cold, it's restrictive. And Venus conjunct that, it's there's some compassion. However, it's in Pisces, so it is fake compassion. Okay, ice may represent love and protection, but for Americans, but actually it can impose on severe limits on freedom and empathy. The 11th house represents friendship versus alienation. Ice policies could have fractured social groups, immigration communities, and international alliances. Could also amplify, and I don't know what's going on around the world, what the world has to say, what's going on, the countries that are involving where these illegal immigrants are going, the flags. I know that's discussion of showing what flags and what countries could also amplify future grassroots efforts in that 11th house to reform or abolish ICE, especially if the movements appeal to share some type of human value. What Pisces does represent the compassion of things, right? Venus likes to be in Pisces, but that Saturn is making the compassion very cold and restrictive and limited of some sort, and partnerships being even restricted and limited. Okay. Anyway, but in the future, I expect a lot of backlash as far as finances. Here, anything that Trump is dealing with, there's going to be a lot of redoing and retelling, and it's really huge in finances. Okay, we do have a lot of uprisings. Okay, this is not going to be the end of this. This is going to last for 4 years. 4 years. Okay, we'll see even more, but I'm just doing up to 4 years. A lot of that, a lot of things dealing with technology in the future. Okay, also airplanes, airlines, and navigations. If you pay attention, whenever Trump is giving like a speech, he's always on an airplane. I don't know if Biden did that, but Trump is always on an airplane. So you do have that. And this is in his first house. So this is bigger than ever. It's part of this 4 year identity here. Okay. And then you have global empathy. When you have this energy here in the sign Pisces, but it's cold, it's restricted. Yeah, there's a challenge, there's a burden. It's pessimistic, it's not positive. Okay, as well. Okay, also to some predictions I have for ice itself. Okay, it's going to be stronger, it's not backing down. I have the strength card here. This card represents aggression, it represents force, it represents it's not reverse is on a positive, but I find that they're going to be strong. Now they could be more compassionate. Maybe you have some ice people who will turn out to be more compassionate. That could be a possibility, but when I see this card, it seems like they're just strong. Okay, so also Leo energy, very dramatic as well. That could be happening too. I think that's what I have for that. Now far as like the people, right, the undocumented immigrants, illegal immigrants, we have the Eight of Pentacles here. And for the Eight of Pentacles, you're talking about, this is the advice I have for you. And this is what I have for the future. For you guys to get in this country or to stay in this country, the Eight of Pentacles represents leaving a city, first of all. Okay, leave the city. And then two, you see in this card, it has multiple moons here. It has multiple moons. So this is a very moody situation. Okay, so one day the moon's in a sign, it seems clear. Next day the moon's in that sign, it seems unclear, which very makes sense. Makes a lot of sense when Jupiter is in Cancer. So it's going to be a lot of moodiness in regards to the perception and how for you to walk around and you to be in America. Okay, but this also the card, the gist of this card is that it's a hard work. There's skills, there's dedication, and it's over details. It's the mastery of labor and building something of value. Okay, it's quietly, continuously at work. Okay, many immigrants, illegal immigrants, will continue to have to prove their value as they are with labor and consistency and resilience. It also signifies pathways to being legitimate and to be stable, and maybe go off of becoming an American citizen through some type of work program or work based or education or skill training of some sort. That's also what it's saying there, but it's more of a brick by brick. It's very slow. It is not fast energy. It's also learning and growing, working on the details, and really, yeah, staying out the city too, because normally in this card they're out of the city. They're like on a hill away from the city. So yeah, stay out the city as well. It's not like I'm trying to help you. I'm just trying to have you understand too. Okay. So yeah, that is what we have in a nutshell. Just to tie it all in, I want you to understand Jupiter is going to move in the sign Cancer as of today. Okay. That's going to make this thing bigger. So just so you know. And when we looked at Trump's presidency for the next 4 years, Uranus in that first house, is going to be a lot of boycotts, a lot of strikes, a lot of riots, a lot of rebellions. That is the name of his presidency. Okay. Also, he has Pluto conjunct the sun on the 10th house. Again, that makes obsession and also even controlling people when they are on strikes and rebelling. I would suggest, this is just me, but everyone is here on their own for their own gifting. Everyone has their own job and what they're supposed to do in life. But me, just looking at this, if you are having a strike in person, just know that this 4 years presidency, that Trump is really obsessed with controlling that. So there are other methods of things to do and being really organized and really being strategic, but the spontaneous and impulsive energy of striking, I wouldn't suggest it. I would say organize. Okay. It's almost like how Black people, I'm Black, but just like how Black people sit there not shopping at Target. It's something like that. I would say more of organizing and paying attention to the details and putting all your ducks in order instead of just being impulsive. You have to be planned. You have to be in planned thought, and go around the system, because there's always a loophole to every rule. Okay. So there is that. Now also too, with these predictions, what other predictions I saw? Mars and Leo. When Mars move out of Leo, I do believe things will kind of die down, but Mars is always Marsing, okay? But when it moves out of Leo, then it moves into Virgo, and it'll be more into the details. It'll be more methodical, won't be as aggressive, won't be as emotional and fired up. So we will have that coming up. However, we still have Neptune and Saturn sitting close to each other. So a lot of illusions and deceptions still happening here. And yeah, and Uranus will soon turn into Taurus this year too. And I talk about that in my 2025 playlist of predictions. I mean, not Taurus and Gemini. And when that happens, there will be more of this duality, of this back and forth, of this flip-flopping energy. So get ready for that, you guys. But yeah, I think I'm beating a dead horse. I think I said everything. I hope you guys understand the predictions and ice. And if you have any other questions, if you want me to read any of the charts, I shall. Also, too, let me tell you what's coming up in tomorrow's video, which was supposed to be today's, but I wanted to discuss. I have a video coming up on Mars entering Virgo. So we'll get into all the transits, the details, and predictions of that. And then I'll talk about the sun entering Cancer. And yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I'm trying to have all the extra videos out for you guys and have them pre-programmed, but that way you won't know the current energy, and then throw in videos like this for the current energy. All right, anyway, I will see you guys next time. Thank you guys for watching. Apologize for the looks. I feel like my forehead looks really huge because I have no makeup on and no baby hair, but this is how I naturally look, and I'm not ashamed of my natural beauty. Anyway, I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye bye.